crucial to a community's success. And the Medford Y and the Ashland Y play such a vital role in our community. And even the Grants Pass Y. They're the largest childcare providers in the communities they serve. And in Ashland, people don't really think of that enough. And I live there, so that's why I care so much about that. But they provide more childcare slots than anyone else. And in a community that struggles to be affordable to families, having a Y do that is remarkable. The other aspect of, because they're very different, so if I could kind of talk about them separately, it would help. But the other remarkable work they both do is around seniors and keeping them healthy and keeping them living independent longer. I mean, what we know for sure is that the longer you live independently, the longer you live. And that once you go into congregate settings, tends to shorten your life by 5 years. And so their efforts to provide services to particularly low-income seniors, because higher income seniors tend to work out at places like Superior Courts or the Ashland Tennis and Racket Club, right? But the other folks, it's a place for them to stay healthy and engaged and connected without feeling like they're being treated differently. Yeah. And it's so important. And it's just really remarkable. The Ashland Y has done so much great work that way. And I have a favorite story about the Ashland Y. I think I have a few, but I have one for sure. You know, people in Ashland often think there's no one who needs help there. Yeah. And many years ago, I went to Lisa and said, you know, what about if you do like discrete social services? And that you find a way to slip someone a backpack full of food that you know they're hungry at home. And how about you just find ways to do that? And they did. And it was really cool. No one knew. No one needs to know. But they stepped into the space because people who see people all the time know what their circumstances are. Right? Or they could make referrals to Hope Chest, our emergency fund, when they knew people really needed some extra help. And because you see someone every day, you know when they might need a little extra help. And when you're helping the most vulnerable on either ends of life, the little ones and the older ones, you're gonna know. And so they did a lot of really discreet, beautiful things to make sure that people were cared for. And that's really my all-time favorite thing that they did. And Lisa and Wise are this way, even Brad is this way, and Mike before him. And, they really care about the people who come there. And they worry about all the right things. So Wise were at the front edge of ensuring that children were protected there, because there's so many places in a YMCA where you could snag a child. And so many places where creeps could do inappropriate, creepy things or illegal things or any of those other things, right? And they were on top of making sure they put policies in place quickly that protected vulnerable populations. And they both really stepped into that space quickly and appropriately and really led the way. And the Medford Y has a really cool program that they created and piloted with one of our CCOs, Jackson Care Connect. And this would be my favorite Medford Y story. They had a program called Healthy U, and it was the letter U. And it was considered to be like Healthy University kind of thing. And they partnered with Jackson Care Connect. So people on Oregon Health Plan who really needed some physical help around health related things, got sponsored by Jackson Care Connect to go to the Y to work out.
Oh.
And we had a full-time volunteer here who lived in Section 8 housing. She became close to United Way because of a program that we funded where she lived in treatment. And she became clean and sober in her late 50s, which was unusual because it's really hard to do, especially for women. But she did. And she really needed to get healthier. And so she got to go through that program. And it really made a huge difference. And she has since passed away. She was diagnosed with cancer, ultimately lost that fight. But throughout that whole time, she was able to be a member in good standing at the Y because of the Healthy You program. And she could go and swim or work out and try to stay healthier. And it was a beautiful gift throughout her journey, recovery from addiction to suffering a really devastating health diagnosis. But it was really cool. And they were great. I have a really good partner, a friend in the community who does great work, who suffered 2 medical emergencies at the Medford Y. And both times staff saved his life. And so for that, I'll be forever grateful. And so they're just attentive. You know, you think, oh, they're just watching the front desk, or they're just, managing basketball camp, or they're just, leading an exercise class, swim lessons, right? But they're paying attention to every single person within their line of sight. And they have eyes on everybody. It's a super important role to care for those who, in my mind, are among the most vulnerable.
I'm curious to know whether the longevity of service is an element of why the Ys have been as effective as they are.
I think it's more about cultural DNA, right? I'm a pretty big believer in that. United Ways have been around a long time too. And so have a lot of other social service agencies. But I think Ys are sort of like United Way in this regard, that we only do a good thing. And not every social service or for-profit or faith community or anybody else can say that, but we only do good.
Yeah.
And so it already inherently makes your cultural DNA better, I think. But I think it's real. I think it's a real piece of who you are. When you see people that Ys hire, it's a little bit like, the proliferation of coffee stands that hire people who are way too excited and happy and, hang out the window and greet you all the time. Y people are just naturally that way. They're just affable, healthy, happy, good people.